Good evening, everyone, and my name is Errica Bishop, and welcome to the premiere of Evolve and Elevate with Errica. I am so excited to be here today on this wonderful Juneteenth, and I appreciate everyone for logging in today, and thank you so much for being here with me on the very first episode of Evolve and Elevate with Errica. So at this time, I'm going to bring in my guests, and as we're going to go into more introductions and go ahead and get started with today. But I would also like to present with you a wonderful friend of mine, Miss Alicia Johnson of the 1212 community. So welcome, Alicia, to Evolve and Elevate with Errica.
I am so excited. We need to have that music. Yay!
Okay. So y'all, this is I've got a lot of nervous energy, of course, because this is my first, but I appreciate everyone being here with me today. It's been a long time coming. For many of those who have heard the vision, seen the vision, have been with me on this journey, I greatly appreciate you being here with me today. So I want to take a few minutes for Alicia Johnson to introduce herself to you and talk about the 1212 community.
Yay! Thank you, Erica. I am Alicia Johnson, the creator of the 1212 community, and it is a lovely little community dedicated to teaching everyone how to live 12 hours for God and 12 hours for man. And we do that through a myriad of ways: journaling, life path information, provision, you name it, everything spiritual, mental, and physical. That is how we change lives, one journal at a time and one quadrant at a time. So that is kind of me in a nutshell, but you'll get to know more of me, I guess, throughout the evening and just, being with Erica. So you'll get to know more about me, I promise.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Errica Bishop, and I am the host of Evolve and Elevate with Errica, and also the executive director or owner or founder of Empowered to Prosper Coaching and Consulting. So, with that, I teach all things emotional intelligence, but it's not from the corporate America way, it is from God's way. So, we are both God girls. So, you will hear that a lot. So I teach that from the standpoint of the spirit and how to walk abundantly in your life through mastering your emotions. I'm a firm believer if you master your emotions, you master your life. And I do that out of the foundational principles of emotional intelligence through family, through work, through parenting, co-parenting, relationships, business, finances, and even your health. Because for those of you who have been emotional eaters, that's a part of emotional intelligence as well. So, as we're going into tonight, and the subject that we have for tonight, we're going to be talking about self awareness. And the title of tonight was Unveiling the Layers. So, when we talk about self awareness and kind of getting into that, Alicia, just kind of tell me from your standpoint, is where did you get to the point where you became more self-aware in your journey as you went through your process and even with growing your community?
Honestly, I do remember the moment I became self aware because I had been such a people pleaser for so long. And every relationship that I had in my life, the person had a very dominant relation. I had a very subservient relationship with these people. So if they said they wanted to do something, I would do it. If they wanted to go somewhere, I would go. So my opinions were very low on the totem pole. But one night, one of the girlfriends that I would hang out with, and she would always get her way whenever we would do something. So this one night, I asked her, I said, "You want to go to dinner?" And she said, "Yeah, sure." She said, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "I want steak." She said, "I don't want steak." I said, "But I want steak." And she said, "Well, we can go somewhere else." I was like, "No, this is what I want." I became so aware of how it was food, of course, but I became so aware of how often I would diminish my desires to accommodate other people. So that night, I became self aware. It was what was it? Longhorn Steakhouse. That was, that was I became of who I am and that my voice matters. And it was just that simple. It wasn't some big epiphany. It was just like, I do have things that I want. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to compromise anymore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. When you think about self awareness, that's one of the first questions you should be able to ask yourself is, what do I want?
Right.
And when I asked myself that question for the first time, I had no idea because
Mm-hmm.
I had been a former people pleaser and
Yeah.
I had always taken the background and had always allowed people to, their opinions and their ideals to be mine because I would always morph into what somebody else wanted. Do you remember the movie called Runaway Bride?
Yes.
So the most pivotal moment in that movie was when he asked her, "How do you like your eggs?"
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Well, she doesn't know because she always eats whatever the person she's dating, how they wanted their eggs."
Mm-hmm.
And it hit me like a ton of bricks when I watched that movie. I said, "Oh my God, I'm that person who would change and do to bend because I wanted the acceptance. I wanted the love and whatever that thing that I thought that I needed from the abandonment and the rejection and all those other things that have been a part of my life at that time. But when I got to the place that I was able to say, I don't want that,
Mm-hmm.
you begin to see how many people benefited from your brokenness.
Oh my gosh. I lost all my friends, or all of my friends. All of them. All of them.
All of
All of them.
it. Hmm.
Because when I started to stand up, I dethroned them. They didn't know what to do with me.
Hmm.
No, I don't want to go there. What, we always go there. Uh, I don't like shopping trips. I stopped. I mean, everything that I was doing that I hated, I
Hmm.
stopped doing it,
Hmm.
and everything went away. And I realized that my what like sand, like a castle of sand, yeah, a castle built out of sand. It was just it was there was no foundation there. It was pointless. All of my relationships were surface.
Hmm.
All of them.
Hmm.
Even with Mike, even with my husband. It was a surface relationship. And that was pathetic. It's awful. It's awful.
When I realized that, I also saw how when I became more aware of self, you become more aware of other people. And those people who were friends that were benefiting from the brokenness all of a sudden became victims because of the relationship dismantling itself. Because relationships have been formed out of trauma bonds, things you misery, other things that weren't built on anything, like you say, a strong foundation of relationship. And when I began to pray for God ordained relationships, the circle became very, very small. The phone may be wrong once a week, if that,
Mm-hmm.
and you begin to feel a little lonely. But
A lot lonely.
when you begin to love on you the right way, the
Mm-hmm.
loneliness changes.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes those people will circle back. Have you ever had a situation where someone circled back again and you had to reintroduce yourself to the new version of who you were?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So look, I can't. We on Facebook, right? So I can't
We
do.
on Facebook, we on YouTube, we everywhere.
Okay,
So
let me tailor my story according. Oh, yes, people will circle back. People will circle back. And when they circle back, it's very interesting because asking it is given unto you, seeking you shall find, knocking the door will be open. So I truly believe that you shouldn't quit anything. You just let it close. Okay. And so once these doors closed, then you now have the opportunity to listen to the knock again. And you get to choose whether you're going to open that door or not. So
That's powerful.
people will revisit and they'll knock on that door, but instead of letting them all the way in, I just open it to see who's at the door, and they just don't cross the threshold anymore. I can hold a whole conversation, me on the inside, you on the outside, but you ain't coming in. And
Mm-hmm.
so people have tried to circle back around, but because my eyes are open this time, mm-mm, you're not going to. How can I put it? Only God Himself God Himself will have to make the introduction and
Mm-hmm.
bring that relationship back to anything that's of substance. But
Mm-hmm.
as for me, with everything that's going on in my life right now, I don't have that kind of time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that kind of time to revisit relationships that aren't authentic.
Correct.
There's too many questions when you come back. Why are you coming back? What kind of what is it? What's your motive? What's your reason for being here? I haven't talked to you in 20 years. Why now? So I'm much wiser now. So I realize the power that I have.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't if I don't invite you in after you've knocked, then it's okay. But if I invite you in after you've knocked, then I have a responsibility to host you. So you have that option. So that's how I handle it. But I can't get into any detailed explanations on. But we can talk offline.
Yeah, we can talk offline. We can talk offline.
Y'all ain't gonna pull me up in here.
I think the challenging part in the beginning was not to fall back to old default settings,
Mm.
especially for those who have been familiar, and
Ooh.
especially for those that you held in high regard, depending
Ooh.
upon the status that you have placed them in your life.
Mm.
So there was a time where I really had to, when God really began to open up my eyes to that place of awareness, you begin to see deeper in the spirit.
Yep.
And you begin to see those who operated in maybe a narcissistic spirit, a jealous spirit, a Jezebel spirit, a manipulating spirit. And it's not for you to say, "Oh, I see you." It's to arm yourself with the wisdom and how to navigate through it to keep your heart pure in the process, and not go back to default settings, because as we know, anytime we heal and we go through a journey, there's some residue sometimes that's left until everything is swept completely clean. People are your greatest test to let you know exactly where you are, how much work you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't think it not strange when pop-up exams or quizzes
Right.
happen
Right. Right.
to really, for you to really see where you are.
Mm-hmm.
But when you begin to stand your ground and say, "I have set this boundary
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not moving from it." And for
Mm-hmm.
those who had the strongest hold on you, really realize that they can't penetrate and get through to that place,
Mm-hmm.
it's something completely different, but you really regain the power of your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, pay attention to the timing. Pay attention to the timing. And you will see that strategically, the enemy knows exactly what to use, when to use it, and how to use it. But God does too. So, what the enemy is trying to use to destroy you, God is trying to use it to strengthen you. So, stand
Yeah.
strong, my friend. Stand strong.
Stand strong.
Yes.
The other part is those who have wounded you in the past.
Oh.
So as you go through this process of pulling back the layers, you also are going to go see those places where you may have been wounded, where there's some scars
Mm.
and some scabs. So we know that scars are evidence that there had been a wound and there has been healing. Scabs let you know that healing has not been completed, it's just covered up and
Mm.
it's still a little bit tender.
Mhm.
So sometimes in that journey, we realize that I still need some more healing in this place. And a lot of times it's that place of forgiveness that has to be attached to that process. So, as you know, if you have not been a part of the 1212 community, we do forgiveness work. So, I'm going to let you open it up a little bit about the power of forgiveness in your
Mhm.
journey.
Mm. Hallelujah. Lord have mercy. Forgiveness is a lifetime process, but the power of forgiveness is that you've got to make forgiveness personal. You've got to make it, you've got to understand it from a place that only you understand it. You got to know that you're doing it for reasons that make sense for you to do it. For somebody to come up to you and say, Jesus said you should forgive 70 times, 7 times, or, forgive quickly, forgive whatever, people tell you the reasons are. But when I truly began to understand the power of forgiveness, nature is your greatest teacher. God said, get up and walk your neighborhood. And it's the middle of the day. And I'm like, I got things to do. God said, go walk. And I started walking. I started looking at everybody's lawn. And God was like, that's forgiveness. Every week, the lawn is cut. And every week, it grows back. The lawn isn't fighting, saying, you know what, you cut me one more time, I ain't coming back. You cut me again. Weeds, everything. Nature is malleable in the hands of God. And God said to me on that walk that unless you get forgiveness under control, you are going to become as rigid as like a building or a concrete foundation or something that doesn't move. And like in your body, when you get arthritis and when you get inflammation and it restricts your movement, God was like, that's what unforgiveness does for you. Spiritually, it keeps you rigid. Mentally, it keeps you rigid. And physically, eventually, it's going to manifest in your body. Do you want that? I was like, yeah, no, I don't want that. And forgiveness became personal for me. Forgiveness became a life force. Forgiveness gives you life. If you understand, like when you truly forgive someone, you feel the lightness off of your shoulders. You can sleep better. Your food digests better. It's amazing. I did it for health benefits alone. I did. I was like, I feel so much better when I forgive. And then it started to get even deeper. The deeper, the more that you forgive, it takes on different, you gain a different perspective, but it was for purely selfish reasons. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to sleep better. I wanted to be out. I was so tense, like in my shoulders and stuff like that, because every time Mike and I would go out, I'm constantly looking at, well, who's that? Well, who's that? Well, why this and why that? And I was just like, I cannot live like this. It was unhealthy. And so forgiveness for me was personal because I couldn't live like that anymore. Hope that
It
makes
really robs you.
sense.
It robs you. It robs you of so much time. It robs you of so much energy. It robs you of love
Mm-hmm.
because you begin to put up all these extra walls around people, around yourself. And we know when you have a wall, you can't get out, nor can you get in. And most people are so concerned about what's getting in but you can't get some of the things that you need to get out for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And as I continue to understand emotional intelligence, I understand that emotions like unforgiveness begin to harbor cells even within your body. It changes your molecular structure, cellular structure, even within your body, and it causes so much sickness and disease because you're holding on to so many things that a lot of times could have been taken care of with a conversation, as simple as asking a question. But we would rather have a conversation in our heads,
Right.
and continue to go over and over and over and over again, which you're putting yourself in what we call emotional incarceration, because you keep replaying it over and over again, and you become a prisoner to yourself.
Yep. And that's what God had me. A lot of the things that I was holding in, and this is an exercise that we do in the 12-12 community, like go back from 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, whatever you remember in between those 5-year increments. If it's not like a happy story or something that's making you laugh and you look at it with fond memories, you need to deal with that thing because it's stunting you. You are stuck at that age. And I've seen it so many times. It's really sad to watch, especially the older that you get. You witness people transitioning and things like that. And we witnessed that with our father. I truly believe that if he had understood the true power of forgiveness, he'd still be here. And I pay attention to where like diseases and illnesses settle in your body. And this was funny. It wasn't funny. It was funny. It was funny, but it wasn't funny. But when he was diagnosed with colon cancer. I was like, dang, he really ain't letting stuff go. But that I didn't say it like that. And my mother and sister looked at me and they started laughing like, you are so right. Like he's holding on to it was amazing. And then he lost his hearing. And he would always say, I'm not listening to that. I'm not listening to your, your body does not lie. And I'm like, it's not isolated to certain people. It's for all of us. Pay attention to where your body is and how your body is affected. And you will be, you can trace it right back to your unforgiveness. You can trace it back.
Yeah.
If you do the work. If you do the work.
When you carry too many people, it's in your shoulders. When you're being stubborn, it's in your neck. When you don't want to change your ways, it could be in your knees and your ankles. Oh, it's amazing how when you start feeling stuff in your body, you have to take a pause and say, what is going on in the spirit realm that I am not paying attention to? Because, the enemy, of course, wants to put you on a spin. If he gets you on something, it's like the little merry-go-round. He wants to get you on there and just spin you around and keep you stuck in that place. Exactly. But when you take that pause and you really begin to evaluate your life, you begin to look at things differently, and you're quicker to forgive. Instead of holding on to you, say, don't even worry about it. It's good. No problem at all. Because my health, my mental capacity, and my spirit is a lot more valuable than that particular situation or circumstance that I would be holding on to.
And that's how, when I was diagnosed with fibroids, I was diagnosed spiritually before it even manifested in the natural. I'll never forget. I went to, because especially in like Christianity and things like that, I was like new to a lot of this stuff. And so I wanted to have some Reiki work done, but I was afraid because I didn't know if God was like, look, I have created everything on this planet. So I said, well, I want to make sure that this person knows what they're talking about. So I didn't fill out the form all the way. I didn't put out, any information. I wanted to see if she was the real deal. But before I left, I prayed a prayer and I said, God, I used to be so creative. I want to get back to that. That's all I said. At the end of the session, because I had a headache that day, she kept working around my head, and then she kept working, like my abdomen area. And at the end, I didn't say anything, and she said, "Well, get yourself together, and I'll come back and let you know what I found." And she said, "Do you have a headache or something?" I said, "Oh yeah, my sinuses have been bothering me." She said, "Yeah, that's why I kept working, your head, your sinuses area." And she said, "Also," she said, "you got to get your creative juices flowing." She said, "You got to get your creative juices flowing, because if not, you're going to develop fibroids."
My Lord. Really?
I said, this was in like 2012, 2013, 2011, 2012. And I heard her, and I knew it freaked me out because I knew the prayer I had prayed, but I didn't put much weight on it until 2014. I go to because every year I go to my well woman's visit. Okay, good. Because my doctor used to say, "You're a boring client. You're just boring." I said, "Okay, good. Let's keep it that way." From 2013 to 2014, I go, and my doctor's like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "Where did these the fibroids had grew so fast, so quickly?" She was afraid for me. She was like, "Oh my God." And when she said fibroids, I went back to what the Reiki practitioner had said, and I was just like, "Oh my Lord." But see, the problem is that once you create this mess, undoing it is the problem.
Yes.
So I'm like, well, God, I tried to hum it away. I tried to tea it away. I tried to steam them away. All of the stuff they
Yeah.
teach.
Uh-huh.
It was too late then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it behooves you greatly to take care of those things incrementally
Mm-hmm.
versus trying to fix it all at one time. So forgiveness is best served in small doses.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I was diagnosed with endometrial carcinoma in 2016. I had fibroids.
Mm.
And um after I'd had the surgery to get the fibroids removed, prior to that, because I was on my healing journey,
Mm.
starting it in that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord told me, he said, I need you to be so quiet that you can feel the smallest nudge of it. He said, don't talk to anybody about it. Just be quiet.
Mm.
Shut your mouth and just be in my presence. So it was either for me to have a full hysterectomy or a partial. And I hadn't decided what I was going to do at that time. And or just have a partial hysterectomy or just get the tumors removed.
Mm-hmm.
So the day I got to sign in, he told me to have the partial.
Mm.
I didn't tell the doctor what I wanted until the day I signed in for the surgery. He
Wow.
said, have the partial. So after the surgery, went back to the doctor. He said, I just got back your pathology report. I said, okay, great. He said, you look good. He said, we found cancer.
Oh my God.
Fear, of course, comes in like a
Mm-hmm.
like a wind wave. And the Holy Spirit said, be quiet and listen.
Mm.
And I said, you found it? He said, but we believe we got it all. I said, so you're telling me if I had not had that specific surgery,
They
you
would
would
have
have never
known.
found it? He said, no, because it had just started. He said, you would have been 60 years old with ovarian cancer before we had ever found it.
My God. My
Now,
God.
after that, of
My
course, you go to God and like, okay, God, what is this? He said it was a bitter root that was growing in you. And if you had not been working on yourself and going through your healing process and going through your forgiveness process, this cancer would have eaten you up.
Oh my
And
Lord.
to this day, I am cancer free. I know forgiveness will save your life. It will save your
Hallelujah.
life.
Hallelujah.
It will save your
Hallelujah.
life. So, for anybody that is out there and you're struggling with forgiveness, as you're going about your journey, and it is a part of becoming more emotionally intelligent,
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness is a part of that work.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to do it. And some of us have said, well, the person that offended me, they're no longer alive. That's fine.
It don't
Accept
matter.
it from the Holy Spirit. That
Amen.
person may not be able to say, forgive them anyway. And trust and believe, just like faith, it has already been done.
Amen.
Because
Amen.
forgiveness will literally save your life.
Mm, 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 mm. Emotional intelligence is should be like mandatory in schools. It
Yes,
should
ma'am.
be job requirement. It should be for before marriage, like you go through your marriage counseling and all of that, because people are emotionally unintelligent, like just ignorant to emotions, ignorant to attitudes, ignorant to how everything affects everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is connected. And
Mm-hmm.
we've been taught like this is my work life, this is my church life, this is
Mm-hmm.
my home life, these are my work friends, these are my school friends, these are my honey, it's all
Mm-hmm.
connected.
Mm-hmm.
And until you put all of the pieces together, that's how the world gets you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the world makes money off of us being emotionally deficient.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the world makes money. Because you're constantly looking outside of yourself trying to fix things that you could easily fix, like you were saying, in 10 minutes, in one good conversation,
Mm-hmm.
in one good apology, one good dialogue could change your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But you spend 20 years drinking, drugging, cussing people out from one relationship to the next relationship. That's what Mike and I, we laugh. We literally could have solved our marriage problems in one weekend.
Wow.
One weekend. If we had literally had the conversation that started it all.
Mm-hmm.
Our problem was communication. And because we had communication problems, if we had just talked it out, we wouldn't have had to go 10, 15 years in a marriage that almost destroyed both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. Your
Mm-hmm.
work is needed. Your work, shoot. I can't wait. I'm excited.
I love it because I realized how much it affected me and my family. And it was one of those situations that, I'm divorced
Mm-hmm.
and to be married again very soon. Um, but if I had had it then,
Mm-hmm.
but what it did, even though I did not have everything works together for your good, it made us better co-parents
Amen.
for our children.
Mm-hmm.
So even though our marriage did not last, it made us better co-parents because even that needs to be healthy. And
Mm-hmm.
I look at how many people who have gone through divorce and they still have all this, what I call razzmatazz and yah going on between relationships. And the children feel like they're stuck in the middle.
Right.
But if they really allow you to see that you can work it out, even if you're in two separate households, how
Mm-hmm.
to talk to each other, how to work through the boundaries, because you still have to raise and rear these children so that they can see it on display.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It makes a big difference.
Because our kids were so confused. And the fact that, like Mike and I, the situation and the scenario that we're going through now, it's kind of, we laugh about it because we're like, can you imagine if this had happened like 10, 15 years ago? Like this would have been, I was angry, he was angry, we were angry, the kids were, this would have been, I don't know how you gonna begin to your appointments. I don't know. I got some papers you can sign. Can you sign these? Can you get, it would have been awful. But I can tell that because of the work that we've done and the healing that is taking place, the process is totally different now. Because every time we go to the doctor's like, how you feeling? He's like, I feel good. You sure? You good? He's like, yeah, I'm looking. He's looking. We look like, yeah, he's good. We have to remind ourselves, like, wait a minute, we still got this situation going on, but God,
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness. You got to pay attention
Mm-hmm.
to when God requires you to forgive. because heaven knows what's coming down the road.
Say it again for the people in the back.
For the
Did you
people in
hear
the back, please pay attention to when heaven requires you to forgive, because heaven knows what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And when God required us to start that forgiveness work, God knew how deeply the forgiveness work needed to go. So God started it years ahead of time, because God knew that we needed to be solid at this point in time.
Ooh, that's good.
Because a lot of times people push it off. I'll do it later. I'll make that phone call later. I'll type that email later.
It's stubborn.
That's so arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
That is so arrogant. Because you are telling heaven that you know better.
Ooh.
Now is not the time for this.
Mm-mm.
Now is not honestly, the only reason we found out about Mike's condition was because God had me sit here at this very computer, make an appointment today. Not tomorrow, not a week from now, but today. Because when God gives you the time, heaven knows the timeline that you have to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Forgiveness is a part of that process.
Mm-hmm.
So it behooves you. If God says, if this live has crossed your path tonight, and God has laid on your heart that it's somebody that you need to forgive, don't take this lightly.
Mm-hmm.
Errica and I, we didn't go out and do some big push like, come see us, come see. If this has crossed your path tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and God is laying it on your heart to be emotionally intelligent enough to do the forgiveness work that's required, it's going to benefit you more than you ever knew.
Mm-hmm.
But you won't know unless you do it.
Mm-mm. When you said something that was so pitiful. See, God's grace is upon your obedience. And we want to do it when it feels convenient to us.
Mm-hmm.
When we feel like, oh no, let me think about it some more. The Lord told you to, Lord, let me think about it some more. Like you really need to negotiate with heaven. So when you do it, like really, when you do it at that time, His grace is upon you. And it's so much that's attached to the obedience. And we know the word, it says obedience is better than sacrifice. So much is attached to it. And you don't know what it is that you're sacrificing. Because he can see your expected end. He knows and can see further in the distance. He knows all and he sees all. Nothing's hidden from him. And when we put a risk out there to say, I'm not going to do this now, and you would rather be disobedient, what is it that you are sacrificing?
Oh my God. Your marriage, your health, your children, your
life, your money, your future, your everything. You put too much stuff
God.
at risk. And then when we get to that place, then we plead and beg, oh God, do this, oh God, do that. But if you had just been obedient 6 months ago,
my God,
if you had just been obedient a year ago,
my God,
when it didn't feel right, when it didn't make sense, but that part doesn't even matter. It's the fact that God said to do it.
Ooh. And this is how you can test. You got to test it for yourself. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to Errica. Test it for yourself. When I learned the true power of radical obedience, God taught me this one. When you're radically obedient, just tie a string to it.
Ooh.
Just tie a string to it. So you don't lose track. Like it's the breadcrumbs.
Yes.
I'll never forget, I wanted to quit my job. This was in 2016, 2017. God said, don't quit it yet. Don't quit another thing. Don't quit. And God said, don't worry about it. The desires of your heart, when you have that desire to leave something, you have that desire to quit, you have that's heaven telling you it's coming. That is not your directive to do it. It means that it's coming.
Oh, that's good.
So I had the desire to quit. And God was like, closure is coming, but you're not going to do it. And then you get a little antsy. You want to make it because people, when the enemy knows that the end is coming,
Yes, ma'am.
the enemy benefits from you jumping ship too soon so that you don't reap all of the rewards.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I said, okay, God, I'm not gonna quit. I said, I'm not gonna quit. So I was walking back to work, and God said, you won't be here past the grand reopening. And our building was being redone.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. So I went in and told my girlfriend, who was the managing partner, and I said, girl, I'm not going to be here long past the grand reopening. That was in June. A lot of stuff was kicking up between June and the actual departure. So that's how you know it's the enemy, because the enemy doesn't want you to benefit from the elevation. So we were in New Orleans, and she texted me because they sent the email saying that the grand reopening was going to be happening soon. She said, oh, I guess your days are numbered. Ha, ha, ha. She was joking. It was a joke. And I forgot, too. I was just laughing. Honey, November 29th, like the end of that, after we came back from Thanksgiving and everything, she came to my desk and she was crying. She was like, I just got word from the head, from the main office that your last day is December 31st. Girl, I laughed. Because, see, if I had jumped, when I wanted to jump, I would have jumped in June, July, or August. Mm-hmm. God said, just hold on. Yes. It's coming. Honey, yes. I was out of leave the day they told me. So they gave me the whole month of December of leave. I ain't worked none. I ain't worked one day. I maybe worked one day a week. They gave me a crazy severance package. And then I got my unemployment, plus all of the other stuff. Come on now.
Oh, yeah.
You sacrifice a lot when you jump too soon. Mm-hmm. But if God has given it to you and deposited that desire within you, then all you have to know is who put it there. You don't have to know when it's going to happen. You don't have to know how it's going to happen. You don't have to know why it's going to happen. All you need to know is who gave you the instruction.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it. That's all.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's all.
The job that I'm working at today, I've been there 13 years. Mm. So prior to that, I had been in another position for 10 years. I was working for Sears, and I've been in retail for 30 years. Mm. So the Lord told me that December, this is back in 2009, He said, clean out your office, take all your stuff home, pictures off the wall, only use what they have. So I'm thinking, you automatically think, oh, the beginning of the year, that's it. It's new year, new job. So it came around about February, March. I was like, now, Lord, I know I heard you. He said, just wait. The store manager sat in my office and said, why don't you just go ahead and quit?
Oh.
And all I saw was Lucifer standing with Jesus saying, throw yourself off of this cliff. And I said, no, I'm not going to quit. I said, I don't quit. I said, I'm going to stay here to the end. I'm not going to quit.
That'll preach right there. That'll preach.
Okay. Now I'm having another conversation with the Holy Ghost. Now, Lord, I'm about to sit here and look real crazy, but I trust you. So I'm waiting, right? I'm waiting. So after inventory everything, I got called to his office. He's pulling out my annual review and to tell me that my job was going away.
Oh, my word.
My leg was shaking. When I said I was shaking. Because I knew that this was what God was. But sometimes when God does stuff, it don't look how you want it to look.
That's that right there. That right there.
Now, in between that time, I had been interviewing and had a job. And then they told me they was going to send me my starting date. Then turned around and said I didn't get it. And I was like, God, what is that? I'm right at the door. And you shut it in my face. Like, what are you doing? But wait a minute. And when he told me my job had ended, Alicia, I shouted so hard, I scared the man. I think he peed on himself. I scared him so bad. I ran out the building, hollering and screaming, God, I thank you, hallelujah. Because I knew that he was doing it. Now, mind you, I'm losing a job. I don't have nothing else lined up, but I know God said it.
I know.
So they was like, oh, what happened? You got promoted. I said, honey, I got promoted right up out of here. I said, oh my God. I said, Lord, I thank you. Now, I didn't have a job. In the middle of a divorce, didn't have a job. Got children I got to raise, didn't know what to do. But I trusted God.
Hallelujah.
He would test you to make sure that do you really trust me? I mean, he'll put you way out there on the cliff and say, do you really trust me? Let me tell you something. It was 3 weeks later. They called me for the job I'm at today. I was making a full-time salary from my severance of the job that I left.
Oh my God.
They paid me $15,000 more a year.
Won't God do it?
New job.
Won't God do it? Won't
Went
God?
from having less than zero to having more than enough.
Y'all don't quit. Look, if y'all don't get no
don't
message,
quit before it's time.
Don't quit. Forgiveness is encoded in the process. Radical obedience. Oh, somebody's getting delivered tonight.
Look, I'm telling you.
Yes.
When you take your healing journey serious, and you really put in the work and you become your own personal project,
it's better than reality TV.
Okay? You can't make this stuff up.
It's better than people. Errica. Well, how long? You know how we be going. How long we gonna be on here tonight? Because I got, girl.
Look, look. Let me pin this here, because we're going to close this out, because we almost at an hour. We will be back next Monday.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I can't wait. We might need to
every Monday at 8 o'clock. So get your friends, get your cousins, get your sisters, tag, share, subscribe. We are going to be on here every Monday.
Well, honey.
Starting at 8 o'clock.
We got some stories for you. We got some stories for you. That conference.
Ma'am.
That conference. Talking about emotional intelligence. Becoming your own project. Understanding who God has created you to be. Okay. Honey. Let me tell you something. When you understand from a higher perspective the power of forgiveness in your life, the power of radical obedience in your life, the power of not quitting in your life, your entire life is going to change. Completely. When I go back and I dissect that whole conference, and from the beginning until we got to the airport the last day, that whole process was a demonstration of everything that you teach. A walking out of everything that you teach. There is no way that entire weekend would have happened without emotional intelligence.
Honey, I tell you.
None of it. We can probably unpack that one next week. That's what we can unpack. But I can't even go. Honey, that green room alone.
Now that's a whole story.
That's a whole story right there.
That was a whole story. Whole story.
That green room alone. The fact that we shouldn't have been in Dallas. We shouldn't have been at the Omni. Come on now. The year before, we were at the Courtyard by Marriott.
And we went to the Omni. The Omni. Downtown Dallas.
In Dallas. And this is the reason I share this, is because when you understand the principles that Errica teaches, you begin to understand the redemption of time.
Oh, girl. Now that's the episode the week after.
When you start to understand emotional intelligence, you begin to understand God is the creator of time. God is not bound by time. When you begin to understand emotional intelligence, you begin to understand paying attention to everything and everyone who crosses your path.
Yes, ma'am.
The only way Errica and I are connected because maybe you can have Tierra on here one day. I don't know. But
yeah, we're going to get Tiara. Tiara's going to be on here.
Tierra, this was hilarious to me. Emotional intelligence helped you. God specializes in the crazy. God specializes in the crazy. Okay? The night that I posted, I do journal challenges. And it was a journal challenge we were doing, and God said, this is why you got to strike while the iron is hot. God said, send this out in Messenger. Because I was putting it on the wall. God said, send it out in Messenger. I just went through Messenger. Just put the link out there. Boom, 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 boom. And then after I sent it, see, God don't bring you back to your senses until after you're done. And so after I pushed the last button, I was like, oh my God. I said, people gonna light up this box because I didn't say boo, jack, cat, dog, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Only one person responded, and that was Tierra. Tierra, we crossed paths, and then that led to crossing paths with Errica. That led to crossing paths with other people. Pay attention to everything and everyone who crosses your path. Emotional intelligence, you can't get into groupthink. You can't get into group thinking. You can't get into everybody, get into these little cliques, get into the, well, I'm offended by that. I'm offended. What did God say? What did God say? Emotional intelligence is the only reason we still have this community right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Because people will come at you left, right, front, center. I got the text messages, emails to prove it. People get mad with me all the time, but in my mind, everybody loves Alicia Johnson, so it don't even faze me. So you wasting your time if you trying to not like me. Everybody loves me. But the key is that when you know that you know that you know that you know,
yes, ma'am,
it don't matter what anybody says. Because if God has said it in my life, I'm emotionally intelligent to know that what you think don't affect me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can stand on that and still be your friend. Mm-hmm. I can stand on that and still love you. I can stand on that and still be connected with you. Mm-hmm. And not allow your opinions or your lack of information to deter me from the assignment that I have.
Emotional intelligence forces you to a place of authenticity.
Oh my God. Type that in. How you put that in there? You got that written down somewhere? Somebody call
Hey, look, Pam got the notes. Everybody asking Pam for the notes. You know Pam on here.
Pam
the Lord that's the nugget that just got dropped. Emotional intelligence forces you to a place of authenticity.
Oh my God, that's it.
So therefore you don't get shook. You don't have to bend, you don't have to waver, because you know you're true to yourself and you true to your assignment. And when you know your assignment, it gives you the necessary boundaries, because you understand that there's a mandate and a mantle that I have to carry out that I can't play with. So you got to be real when you come to me, and I'm going to discern whether or not you're real or not, because not only are you playing with my life, but you're dealing with people whose lives are attached to me.
Oh my God. Oh my Lord. Ooh, this evolve and elevate with Errica. Lord, I'm evolving and elevating already. I'm excited.
I am too.
I am so excited.
I am too.
We getting ready to learn. So, and look, this was just the intro. Like this was
the intro.
Child, when you get in here and gets to doing your teaching and your see,
This is amazing.
God is good. God is real good. And
Mm-hmm.
when you begin to understand the truth of who God has created you to be, you have time for everything that heaven gives you to do. And what I mean by that is that right now in my life, this is a very busy time. And I was sitting there and I was doing my Netflix and chill night. And God said, text Errica. See when she started. I said, well, hey, can I just finish my movie? Can I just, sit? God said, no, it needs to start soon. And Erica's like, yes, I'm ready. I'm like, well, here we go. See, you cannot put heaven on your timetable.
No.
You're going to have to hit pause on that movie.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to release and relinquish your timetable to heavens, because when you are in alignment with God, you have all the time that you need. God is the creator of time. God is not bound by time.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I am so excited about this, because that was one thing, because the way God is moving this work now, it's like, God, I don't have time for one more thing. God was like, who said? You got plenty of time. And tonight, the night that you chose to start, it was a day. I didn't work. Did you work today? I don't know if you worked today. I didn't work today.
Mm-mm.
I was
No.
nice. You good. You got
Mm-hmm.
time.
On Juneteenth of all days.
That's what I was like. Look at God evolving and elevating on Juneteenth with Errica. Oh,
God is so
the
good.
ancestors are rejoicing right now.
Mm.
Mm, mm, mm.
God is so good.
This is gonna be fun. Anyway, Eric, I'm excited. I'm not going. We could go on. We be talking for three. We forget people on here, girl, and we be. Wait, this still streaming, right? I didn't mean to say that.
It's wonderful. So we're coming to a close for this particular show. So you all, thank you so much for joining myself and Alicia for Evolve and Elevate with Errica. I hope it was as good to you as it was for us. Please continue to leave your comments. Please make sure you like, you tag, you share, and you subscribe. Let everybody know that we're going to be back here again next week, Monday at 8 o'clock. We're going to hear some more stories. We got a couple more things to share and to tell. And if it was something else that you would like to learn or to understand or have a conversation about around emotional intelligence, just shoot me a DM and let me know. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for joining. And we hope that you come back with us again next week. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate you so much.
Oh my God, this was
This
great.
has been wonderful. Thank
Love
you all.
you.
I appreciate you.
Love you. Thank you, everybody. Love y'all. See y'all next time.